It's time for Breaking Chains with Healthy Monday, where we will discuss spiritual, mental, and physical health issues. It's Breaking Chains with Healthy Monday on YAT Radio.
We would like to say good evening to you. Happy Monday, Healthy Monday. Thank you for joining us tonight with Breaking Chains on Healthy Monday. We have Queen Sheena and King Bo Williams, and I am Elder Katrina, and we greet you today. We say Happy Monday. I tell you, it has been a great day already, and I am just basking and waiting on healthy information and good information on the positive of gardening. I think I have said enough. I'm going to turn it over to you, King.
Hello, my wonderful people out there. How are you guys doing this evening? We hope all is well with you. So tonight, like our queen said, we're going to talk about the benefits associated with gardening as far as our health goes, physically, mentally, and spiritually. For all the obvious reasons, first of all, gardening is healthy for our lifestyle. It's beneficial because it beautifies our neighborhood. It beautifies our backyard, and we love seeing it. Of course, we're going to be growing food, or even if you don't grow food, it's still very beneficial. So I guess we're going to jump right into it. And again, the health benefits associated with gardening. Okay, so first and foremost, getting outside is beneficial for us. When we talked about taking those walks, we talked about getting fresh air, and we talked about getting sun exposure. We talked about that already, and they're all beneficial. So first and foremost, getting out there in the garden and getting outside and getting from in front of screens and getting off the couch and getting off your butt is one of the most positive reasons we can start the garden. Vitamin D.
That's right.
Vitamin D. We all need it. Our beautiful black skin, our melanated skin enjoys it. Our skin thanks us when we go out there in the sun. So go get you some sun. Get some sun exposure. Get some fresh air. The second I could recommend it because it's just overall with our mental health, overall it makes us feel better. Anytime we get outside, anytime we're able to, how would I say, to nurture something and to keep it alive, it has positive benefits on our mental health. Sheena will tell you that I'm a firm believer when I question people or they ask me how can I improve my lifestyle, or I ask them, do you have a plan or anything that you're responsible to keep alive? And most people don't, besides their kids. And a lot of people I talk to, kids are grown and gone. So I recommend people to get something in their house that they're responsible for, that they have a responsibility to keep alive, whether it's a cat, animal. We have snakes at our house. We've got a couple dogs, too. So we're responsible for it, and it feels good to nurture our animals and make sure they're fed and make sure they're good and make sure they're happy. Not just fed, but make sure they're happy and they're in a good environment. So, of course, gardening does that for us. We're able to put seeds into the ground and watch these seeds sprout up, and eventually these seeds give us food, give us beautification if it's not food. And we nurture it through the whole process. So we have to water it. We have to give it love. We have to tend to it. We got to get down on our knees and pull weeds. So we're responsible. We're invested in these plants. So I guess my second one would be to just get out there, and it's gonna and to nurture. It's gonna have a positive mental health benefit for you. Mood boosting. Sometimes when we're having a bad day, just going outside makes us feel better, especially with babies. I know one of my tricks with my sons, both of them, were to just get them and take them outside. And they sit them in their car seat and just take them on outside, and they immediately get quiet because the cool air is blowing against their skin, or the hot air or the sun is radiating against them. They're outside. They're seeing sights. They're seeing the trees. So just going outside is mood boosting. Going out there and for our kids too, sometimes just taking a walk in nature is beneficial for if we're going through depression or anything. It's just super beneficial for us. So just being able to get out there into your garden and to see, or somebody else's garden, or to just help in somebody's garden, it's so beneficial, and it's so like I say, it puts you in a good mood to know that you're a part of it. You want to add anything?
Sure. Well, first of all, good evening, my kings and queens out there. I would like to add that one of the things I like about gardening, as well as breathing, is it helps with Alzheimer's and dementia, because you're being in the garden, you're always doing something, weeding, watering, transplanting. There's always something to do, which is always working your brain muscles, and it's also physical activity. So, like I said, it keeps you from, like I said, the Alzheimer's, which a lot of people have been affected by that. It's not talked about a lot in our community, but it affects us more than we think. And like I said, being in the garden with that physical activity keeps the brain activity up, and like I said, it wards those kind of illnesses off. Like I said, we're always talking about mental illness and how we can prevent them, and that's one of the ways that you could do that.
So like you said, the physical fitness in the garden is wonderful. We work almost every muscle in the garden. So when we getting down on our hands and knees, got a weed, and we pulling weeds, we're working the back muscles, we're working our leg muscles. When we got to turn some dirt over, we're working those arm muscles. When we're toting stuff back and forth, we're working. We're keeping our bodies moving. And it's true, the cliche term of a body in motion stays in motion. That's true. And a garden is one of the best ways to do so, because if you plant some seeds, throw some seeds out there in the dirt and expect something to grow, it's not going to work. A garden is interactive. So definitely getting out there and getting physically active. Me and my wife, a couple times a week, we're in somebody's garden or in one of our gardens. And by the time when I get there, I'm perfectly dry. And by the time I leave, my shirt's drenched, my pants are drenched. I'm wet because I've got a good workout, and it feels good. I got plenty of before and after pictures in my phone of when we went out there to the garden, and it's my shirt light gray, and by the end it's dark gray, But it's healthy. You're doing something. You're burning calories, and you can't beat that. And at the same time, you're like I said, you're going to be able to get some nutritious food. So that brings me into the next thing is the nutritious food that you'll be growing, or the herbs or your medicine or whatever it is that you're growing in your garden. Now when it comes to what you're growing or what to grow, in your garden, that's totally up to you. So some people just have a simple herb garden where they grow chives and cilantro and a few little different things they grow. Some people are in love with tomatoes and just grow tomatoes. So it's up to you. But I do recommend we grow things that are beneficial for our body. I know people love to grow flowers and the ornamental decorations and, make the porch look beautiful with certain type of flowers. But I recommend people to grow stuff that's edible, at least. And to introduce it to for our listeners out there with kids, to introduce it to our kids. Statistically proven, scientifically proven, studies have shown when your kids grow food, or even when anybody grows their own food, they're more likely to try new food. So if a kid grows some peppers, or if you grow some peppers you've never had before, you're more likely to try it because you grew them. Or if somebody says, I have some tomatillos, did I say it right? Tomatillos, and you're like, what is that? And they say, here's some seeds. They're kind of like tomatoes. And you grow it, you're going to try it, most likely. And when you teach are when you teach kids at a young age to eat healthy, to grow food, the benefits of growing their own food, they're more likely to take those habits into adulthood when you teach them and you show them, and they're actually hands-on in the garden, learning and getting the garden lesson. Ooh, grow edible flowers, grow your medicine. I recommend everybody, when the doctor says, well, you have an iron deficiency, go get you something that's edible with plenty of iron. Go grow you some greens and say, this is my medication right here, these greens. The doctor say, or you have stomach issues and upset stomach, and one of the things that I use when I'm having stomach issues is ginger. Grow you some ginger root if that's a thing. Know the beneficial things for your body. And again, me and my wife always talk about the preventing preventable diseases, and a garden, having your own garden that you're responsible for, literally combats a lot of those preventable diseases because you're getting moving, you're out there. I don't think you can't grow sugar. You can't grow too much sugar in a garden. We have sugar cane and sugars in our fruits, but you can't beat the fibers that are in fruits versus even drinking your juices and juicing and stuff like that. So definitely getting out there in your own garden. All right, and tell you a story about some kids. The story was told to me for getting in the garden, having it being beneficial to them in their life, and it also opened up doors for them to become something that they probably wouldn't have if it wasn't for the garden. So I believe it was after-school detention, and had a rambunctious youngster who class time just wouldn't be quiet, was funny, everything, and disrupting the class. And the teacher, always used to pull him to the side and ask him, what's going on? Why do you act this such? Why, what's the problem? Are you lacking attention? So on and so forth. And the kid, just shrugged his shoulders and threw the teacher off, whatever. So the teacher started taking the youngster outside during detention. And he said what he did was it was a school garden. All the plants out there, the teacher knew the scientific name, what do you call it, baby? The
scientific name, the homogeneous name?
The homogeneous name for the plant. Mm-hmm. So he was calling the dandelions by their homogeneous name. He was calling the tomatoes by the homogeneous name. So the trees and the youngster didn't pick up at first, but he started, questioning like, what's this? And he started questioning, well, what about this plant? What about this plant? What about this plant? And before long, they were in full conversation about growing and the benefits of and the youngster. The point of the story is the youngster. By him being outside in nature in this garden, he was able to now come to the garden for a peace place. And he also got a new interest because he was using the scientific names for the plants. The youngster was questioning. He didn't say that's a dandelion. He didn't say that's a tomato plant. He didn't say he was using it. So he exactly. So now he knows he's able to spread the knowledge, and it gave him some power. And the teacher, of course, the kid wasn't back in detention, but the teacher said he often found the youngster out there, and then when he went to go ask, the youngster, what are you doing in the garden? He said, man, this is my peaceful place. This is the place where I come to get a peace of mind. And mind you, this kid was one of the most rambunctious kids of the bunch, So for him to find peace in a garden it's wonderful. So again, a benefit of gardening is, we find peace in a garden. We find peace in nature, period. Whether if we're going on a hike, when we going camping, it's peace in that, for my fishermen and ladies out there who go fishing and you out there by yourself and it's just you and the water, it's you find peace in nature. So when you're creating nature in your own backyard and you're creating a environment, which is your garden in your backyard, it's yours. It's peaceful, definitely. And for our kids with ADHD, so many different benefits for. I was looking up a lot of stuff when we started our garden at Line Call and the benefits of gardens for the kids. And from ADHD to autism to depression to everything that we try to combat with medication, a simple garden did just by exposing the kids to the gardens and exposing them to nature. And it also promotes, as far as kids go, even adults who are still in the process of learning, it promotes STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So when you're laying a garden plot down from scratch, you got to do the math. I want an 8x4 bed over here. I want a 5x2 bed over here, so on and so forth. And you have to calculate the dirt. So you're using your brain. You're using your intelligence. You got to say, well, I have this much area. I need this many bags of dirt, because the dirt come in cubic feet, or this dirt comes by pounds. But, so you have to use your brain. So your so many benefits associated with just using your brain, reading. And a lot of times when we leave school, we feel like we no longer have to do math, so we lose it. So when I'm in the garden and they talking about what's the area of this rectangle over here, sometimes I had to refer to Google to get, or what's this half circle's area. Sometimes I had to refer back, but now I get it and I'm using my brain. It promotes science because you get to learn so much about nature, about what bugs, what insects are in your garden. You get to seeking information about the soil and what nutrients are in the soil for the plant, so on and so forth. So you're learning, the science associated with you consistently checking the weather. Some people even have hoop houses or controlled environments where they have to check the humidity. They have to check people who grow in hydroponics, they have to, their water has to be a certain pH balance, and they have to know how to get that pH balance. They might have to add more phosphorus. They might have to add more nitrogen, or so on and so forth. So, in a garden, it's definitely a learning experience, even for somebody is seasoned, or is me and my wife. We always have to refer and ask questions and ask somebody else who's done it before. So, in a garden, you're always learning. There's always an opportunity to learn something. And again, the things that a garden does for your neighborhood, the beautification, if you have a garden in your front yard and people walk by, most likely they're going to stop and say, wow, that's wonderful that you're growing greens and so on and so forth. So it's the conversation piece. And, of course, we always talk about community, knowing your neighbors, getting to know them, so on and so forth. So gardening is a way to also do that.
Yes, I do. I want to talk about gardening for the elders. Always a great thing. Of course, we just did a garden at Taylor Park that is a senior accessible garden, not making them bend down. A lot of our elders have the back issues, knee issues, and what have you. And it's getting cold out there right about now. So, like I said, we made it accessible for them, so they will be willing to come out, have somewhere to sit, be able to sit there and just pick the greens and pick whatever they need out there. Like I said, it's good for a lot of our elders for the holidays. A lot of them are alone. A lot of them find peace in, like my husband said, going to the garden and being your peaceful place and you being able to sit there, absorb nature. Also, like I said, see something grow, be able to eat off of it, and it's really beneficial for the mind and us battling the mental illness, which we always talk about. It's the main key for that. So I like to always not leave our elders out, like I said, because they are the throne of everything that we are trying to do and pass on to the next generation. So that's one of our main missions with the gardening that we do is the intergenerational connection. So I definitely am gung-ho for that. And my husband already talked about the children being in the garden. I just finished a class today at Taylor Park, and just them being able to see the onion bulbs that they put in a few weeks ago, and they're sprouting, ready to really make onions. They get to see it growing right in front of their eyes. They were very, very excited. They can't wait to come back tomorrow to go back to the garden. And tomorrow's not even really one of our garden days, so we're going to make it. But they're just very, like I said, it's hands-on. All the kids that are there want to be there because they are hands-on. Like I said, they did it. Now, when their parents come and pick them up, a lot of them come and pick them up from the garden now versus going to pick them up from the main building because they want them to see what they've done. And it just sparks, like my husband said, that sparks a whole other avenue for them to go down and to possibly make money off of this as well. Like I said, farmers markets and opening your own market one day, and also spreading the health and nutrition throughout your community, not only making money, that's not the important thing all the time. I mean, we know we need it to live, but also being a benefit to your community, being a positive influence to your community is always the main thing with us. So like I said, getting the children involved, them too, they'll keep bugging their parents to take them back to the garden if they want to go there, which makes their parents get involved as well. Like I said, it all runs in a circle. Once you spark a child's interest, you can't shut them up about it, and that's the great thing about them. They still have that innocence, they still have that spark, they still want to learn, they still want to eternalize these things. So, like I said, I was very excited to be out there with our students today, and just to see their faces when they saw what they planted. Like I said, just a few weeks ago, sprouting and really becoming food right in front of their eyes. So I'm really, really happy for them to be able to get some greens and stuff for their grandparents and their mom for the holidays, for Christmas coming up and New Year's, and it's just really, really exciting. And anybody within earshot of this, if you have children from 0 to teenagers, I promote everybody to do it, but really from the 0 to the teens, I really promote you to, like I said, you don't have to even be out in the garden in the beginning. You can get them a pot to start growing inside and just have that experience at first. But I do recommend it because it promotes STEM, as my husband mentioned, and that's going to be needed in this world no matter what. So if we can give our children another avenue to go down, that is always a great thing and always an asset to them.
One thing I want to add to that, or multiple things, is just the self-sustainability. We need to not depend on these stores for our healthy, nutritional food. As we know, certain areas, when we go in the store, the fresh produce is not so fresh. Apples going bad. I've been in stores with strawberries going bad. Right here around the corner from me, I tried to go in there and buy some mushrooms, and they didn't have none. They didn't even sell mushrooms. And it's like, man, mushrooms it's something that, a common thing to us. And we go look for certain things in our community, specifically the black poor neighborhood, they do us bad when it comes to produce. Even at some of these higher-end stores, we shop at Winn-Dixie. Winn-Dixie's pretty cool when it comes to the variety and the freshness, but when I look at a box and it says these okra were grown in Honduras, that worries me because, my okra that we grew right here, around the corner, after 5 or 6 days, it's old and no good, almost no good, So for this to have to come from Honduras, and I'm pretty sure it didn't get here overnight because I'm pretty sure they didn't just send one box. Concerns me. This stuff is weeks old sometimes before it hits us. They're getting oranges. I see fresh oranges throughout Mobile on the citrus trees and the satsumas and what are the other little things? Persimmons, and I see the fresh orange fruits and lemons and fresh yellow lemons on trees right now. But 9 times out of 10, if we go buy a fresh orange or buy some oranges or some lemons or some lime, or not limes, but lemons or some of the citrus, they pick them off the tree while they're underdeveloped. So they pick them off the tree when they're still orange, and by the time they take their trip to the store, they're turning orange, or they're orange now by the time they get to the store because they're picking them before they're ready to be picked. So a lot of us don't know what a fresh orange that turned orange on the tree tastes like because we always bought from the store. And me and my wife noticed that more and more and more. So definitely growing in the garden, knowing where your food comes from, knowing what's on your food. We don't realize that they're allowed to put chemicals on and in our food. As long as the FDA deem it okay, they can do so. And some of the stuff that we wouldn't deem okay, such as putting certain wax on apples, pears, and things to make them shiny. We didn't give anybody permission to put wax on my food. So if you had an apple tree, or those tomatoes, you had you grow your own tomatoes, for sure that they didn't put anything on. For sure that it's not pumped up with antibiotics and full of fertilizer, chemical fertilizer that was produced in a laboratory somewhere. So also my wife touched a little bit on the financial. Man, if I had a backyard right now, I would probably have a little bit more money than I do now. Not much, but probably just a little bit more. Because growing and selling food is definitely an avenue for all our people, especially our elders. I'm not trying to have nobody in trouble or nothing like that, the disability checks and stuff like that. But if you growing food in your backyard, and you donate a bunch of greens to a neighbor, I'm pretty sure that neighbor will oblige to donate something to you. And it doesn't have to be money. It could be whatever, the nephew, grandson come over to cut your grass, a medium of exchange. And if we had that in our neighborhoods, we'll be a little better off. Or being able to sell it or give it or receive donations for it from people to produce it at the farmer's market, or for a person to grow intentionally for farmer's market or produce stand, especially around the holiday time. I hate to have to see my brothers and sisters, my kings and queens, my elders out there in the store buying these high greens during the holidays. It's just too high. Greens are easily grown. And I'm pretty sure these greens that last in the store for weeks at a time, I'm pretty sure they're full of chemicals and full of things that are negative to our body. So I hate to have to see us go and spend money on that with people that don't care about us. I wouldn't mind you spending that money if those people who produce those greens cared about you and grew their greens as such. I care about my people, so I'm going to grow my stuff with care because I know other people are going to be eating it. I'm not just growing it to grow it. I'm growing it because I want people to get the benefits and the nutrients from it. So I'm going to tend my greens, my okra and stuff with care. I'm not with care. I'm not just going to throw fertilizer. I'm not just going to go spray it because I had a few bugs on it. No, I'm going to use organic, natural alternatives. I'm not going to give the chemical industry a boost when I'm growing my vegetables. But the farm industry does a lot of the time. And it's crazy that how they – anyway, I don't want to get into the organic, non-organic stuff, but it's all this marketing scheming and all that type of stuff. I'd rather not have to deal with that and have to go in the store. I literally go into the grocery store and be on guard. I look at the sign. I'm looking, I'm looking at how I'm on guard, and I shouldn't have to be. But I know that the stores are full of tricks, and I know that the growers, they want to make money versus heal people, versus get the community in a better place. They want to make their money. So when I see all this iceberg lettuce and they got it at $2 a head, it makes me sad that they would sell this water for so much, anyway. But definitely getting out there in the garden, growing your own food with the possibility of making an income. And you have people, and you guys can go look it up, urban farmers who make a substantial amount each season just by growing in a few people's their backyard and a few other people's backyard, just growing strictly for markets, strictly for restaurants. Imagine if you had you as a single individual had a contract with a restaurant to produce all of the strawberries, and you had the knowledge to produce strawberries, and this restaurant said, look, man, I just want you to produce strawberries, and I'm going to keep buying them. That's a steady income for you. You have a contract with a restaurant, and it's a good supply. That's a good thing. And we are all allowed to do so. There's nothing stopping us from doing so. We just have to learn some gardening skills. And, me and my wife, again, we'll help anybody learn a few garden skills because we think it's one of the most revolutionary things that you can do. You grow your own food for consumption and for the community, for the people who can't eat, for the people. There's so many benefits of gardening. We could go on all day and all night about it. Even for the environment, just the fact that you're producing more air. You're able to clean the air. The roots of some plants actually clean the water. Can clean the whole water supply. Plants provide your garden, your personal garden that you put in the backyard provides a whole ecosystem for a host of many different life forms. From small insects that we can't to beautiful butterflies that come pollinate for us, the bees, lizards, frogs, snakes. Some people are scared of snakes, but if you got a big garden, it can provide some shelter for some garden snakes, which keeps rats down. Or you're growing corn. Like I said, I don't want to scare people away. We're trying to get people. I shouldn't have said snakes. Sorry, guys. But you're definitely doing a service to the environment when you're growing food or you're growing things. You're definitely doing a service to the community. You're definitely doing a service to yourself. So when you have your own garden, you actually make the world a better place. So I recommend everybody, and like my wife said, you don't have to. A garden's not always about going outside, getting in the dirt, and so on and so forth. They got cool garden kits where you can grow indoors with hydroponics. They got garden kits where you can grow indoors. You can just have a small area where you can put some light and you can grow indoors with light. Sorry, our kids busting here scared us. But definitely a lot of our, one of me and my wife's goals is to be able to, grow, have our own little salad line where we're doing hydroponic salad. So we're growing lettuce with hydroponics, which is basically, for the people that don't know what hydroponics is out there, hydroponics is basically growing food without soil. There's a misconception. People think plants need dirt to grow. That's a misconception. Plants actually need the nutrients that are in the dirt. Plants actually suck out the nutrients through the when there's water, nutrients are released from the dirt, and the stuff in the dirt, and the plants suck it all up and thrive. So what we do is with hydroponics, you grow the plants in water, and we just add those nutrients, and we can specifically add just the right amount of nitrogen for our greens, just the right amount, so we'll never overdo it. So it's more of a controlled environment, and our plants thrive more. Our plants thrive more because it's in a controlled environment. We have the lights and we have the nutrients. We know what's going in our plants. So our goal is to hopefully have our own, little salad line where we'll be able to produce salads and stuff for the community indoors. So, like I said, gardening's not always all about getting out there in the dirt. You got windowsill gardening where you do your herbs, things you'll probably use on a frequent basis. So if you like your chives, grow you some onions in the windowsill, and you could cut them off as needed. Same thing with cilantro. What are some parsley, rosemary, and I would say mint, but mint can get out of control. So if you have some room for some mint, or keep it to a small area, wonderful. Keep it to a cup. But if mint goes crazy, but it's so beneficial for us. So you got the windowsill gardening. Let's say if you have space in your house, do kind of like a closet gardening type of thing is wonderful. your porch for people who don't have a backyard, who don't have window sills, facing preferably south, porches. So even your stoop, you can get a couple of 5-gallon buckets, put some rocks at the bottom of it so it don't go nowhere, and go buy you a bag of dirt and you can grow you some food right there. One 5-gallon bucket, I'm pretty sure it can produce probably 50, 60, 70 carrots if you want to grow carrots. It can produce a lot of carrots in that one bucket. What have we grown in the bucket? I grew a whole pumpkin out of the bucket. Well, we grew the pumpkin plant. The pumpkin didn't come to fruition, but the plant thrived. We grew squash in the bucket, eggplants in the bucket. So I mean, get you an old bucket. I see one of my vices is seeing things I can use on the side of the road. So I'm a heavy-duty recycler. So if I see something on the side of the road that I can possibly safely put some dirt in and grow something, I'm probably going to stop and get it. Or if I can make a garden bed out of it, I'm probably going to stop and get it and use it. So a lot of the stuff I do, or a lot of stuff I get, is free. Same thing with compost. When you start your garden off, you buy a lot of dirt. You put the dirt down, and you use that dirt to make the dirt that was already in your garden better. But when you learn more about gardening, you learn that you can create your own dirt. You can create your own fertilizer. You don't have to go to the store. It'll take a while, but if you have your own backyard, it's doable. And like I say, you got your own compost bin. You might have an animal or two that you use for fertilizer. I have a friend that uses rabbits. She raises rabbits in her backyard, and she uses it for fertilizer. And rabbit poo is a wonderful fertilizer for your garden. Same thing with chickens. Chickens are beneficial for your garden, super beneficial. They give you fertilizer, and they'll also clean your garden up for you when you're finished with it. You know, pluck old seeds out. Like say you had a strawberry patch, and you plucked all the strawberries, and you're finished with the garden. You know, you let the chickens go graze. The chickens will eat it up for you, and of course they'll give you the golden gift of fertilizer. Rabbits and chickens, and that's for smaller animals for the backyard. I don't want to recommend anybody going out there and getting no goats and cows and or a horse and nothing like that. But if you have a friend with a horse, you tell them like, look, man, I'll take the horse manure so I can go create me some good dirt for my garden. Anyway, gardening. One of the benefits of gardening again is community and being able to get out there in the community. And salvage, get out there in the community and say, I can teach you how to do a garden. It's a conversation piece. Every time somebody sees us out there in the garden or gardening, they stop and they have a question or two, and we happily oblige and tell them, okay, this is what you're doing wrong, or this is what you should do, or this is how you should do it. This is what I recommend. So And they recommend something to us. We had some old heads pull up on us and let us know that we're doing some stuff backwards, or there's a better way to do so, or want to show us some of the old techniques that were forgotten. So it brings a sense of community, and like I say, you can't go wrong with starting the garden or getting out there in the garden. And it's a wonderful feeling to wake up in the morning, peek out the window, walk outside, and see your tomato plants doing wonderful. To see the flowers on your plants opening up, to see butterflies out there, to see, if you have a visible garden, to see people's faces when they see it, like, oh, wow, she's growing. There's a lot of greens out here. Oh, wow. I think I was in Pritchard on Pritchard Ave, and I seen the lady, she had greens all in her front yard, and I just thought that was just so revolutionary and so wonderful that she would dedicate her yard to growing medication for herself, growing food for herself, and doing it unapologetically. all over the front yard. She had greens and stuff, and it was wonderful. That's what I would love to see everybody do. Utilize the space for something positive, even if you don't per se eat everything that you grow. It's always somebody that will. We have a big homeless population here in Mobile. We have a big population that's in poverty. One of me and my wife's things was with all the okra we had was we'll just bag them up into sandwich bags and we'll pass them out. Give them to our friends, give them to the elders, and actually let them. I'm pretty sure most of them already tasted fresh okra, but a lot of times people say, "Oh my God, this is so good! It's so fresh," and I didn't know okra could taste so good. And it's like, yeah, because we just picked this off the dang on vine, off the dang on plant, and it's to you, so it's fresh. And we got people eating okra, eating it right off the plant, eating it raw, because we can, people may not know, but you can eat it raw. But I wouldn't dare put one of those rubbery pieces of okra out the store and tell my kids, yeah, you can eat that raw. I wouldn't dare do that. But, yeah, when we're out there in the garden, fresh okra, about an inch long, they're wonderful, tender, and they're great. So growing for self, first of all, growing for community, those that you can help, and then growing to possibly get an income going. So those are three wonderful reasons to get growing, and I just recommend everybody to do so. And if you never grew anything before, and you grow a tomato plant, or you grow some cucumbers, and you go see those cucumbers grow from little babies to big old cucumbers, I can't even describe that feeling. It's so satisfying to be able to plant this little seed and get 12 eggplants off the plant for the whole season. That's wonderful. So like I said, I recommend everybody to get growing. Queen, did you hear something that I need to touch on about gardening? I know you got a wonderful addition over there to your garden this weekend.
I was really just trying to give you time to just kind of, finish up. I didn't want to interject just so quickly, because I think one of the questions that I have, and I don't know if this is something for a later topic, but we were talking about ginger root and the different type of herbs and spices and things that you can grow. And for a question I have is, is there a right time to do certain plants, especially with the ginger and the cilantro, whether it be mint, parsley, basil. I love basil, but is there a time? Because I have tried to grow it before, and it'll start off really well, and then it thrives, and then I figure I either give it too much water, too much sunlight, too much heat, So
Yeah.
Is there a better time versus the other to start trying to do herb gardening, specifically herb gardening?
Well, herbs. See, herbs are a little bit easier because a lot of herbs don't need much care and don't need specific conditions. That's why you can easily grow them in a windowsill. But yes, different plants thrive in different temperatures. So some plants will thrive in the winter better than the spring or fall or the summer. Like basil. Basil was a summer. You started in the spring and it thrives throughout the summer, and when it cools down, it dies out. So it all depends on what style of growing you choose. So if you say, you know what, I'm going to dedicate a small portion of my house to an indoor grow station, then you can grow what you want year round, especially herbs, because they tend to be smaller. So if you say, look, I'm getting me one little grow light, and I'm going to dedicate this one little area and get to a little shelf, you can grow what you want year round because you control that environment. But when we're talking about outside, Definitely. There's definitely a science to growing fruits and vegetables and herbs in your garden. Starting with the frost date. Starting, you have to know how often your area, what zone you got to. First of all, you have to know what zone you're in, and then you have to know. And this is all easily accessible information via the internet or via the local extension office. And I recommend I get all your information. If you guys are interested in what we're saying, I recommend you go to, and I'll give you guys the website before we get off air, but go to the local Alabama extension office, and they have all the scientific things to do and not to do and when to plant and all the tips and, all the know-how to do planting in Alabama. So, and like I say, starting with knowing what zone we're in and knowing how, when our first frost date occurs, which means we're very south. We're in Mobile, so we're in like zone 8, zone 9, versus Minnesota. Minnesota might be in zone 2. We're still planting right now. Minnesota is pretty much through for the year because it's so cold up there. Detroit and Michigan, a lot of those places are pretty much through for the year planting outside. They may have indoor operations or they might have hoop houses. They might have special operations that allow them to continue growing. But once that ground starts to freeze, a lot of plants can't take that. A lot of the winter plants can take an overnight freeze, but they couldn't take a week-long freeze. And a lot of these places, New York does that. You'll be under 40 degrees for a whole month straight, and a lot of plants just can't survive that. So we're actually here in Mobile, Alabama, or in southern Alabama, or the southern region we're in, we're actually in a good region to grow. And that makes me question, why the industry chooses to import all of our fresh produce when we have some of the most fertile land and most fertile conditions right here in what they call it, the Black Belt, right here in the Black Belt. They chose to grow cotton and tobacco, when agriculture and growing was a thing in the South. But we can grow stuff here in Mobile, and I don't see why we don't. So yes, the answer to your question is yes. There's a science to what we grow, when we grow it, how we grow it. We can't grow tomatoes and cucumbers throughout the winter unless we have special conditions as like the hoop house or some lights or something like that. In the winter it's more so leafy green, a lot of the root crops. So that's why in the store you'll be like, man, how come ain't no snap beans, or how come this certain type of bean is not in the store no more, or how come it's so expensive now? So with greens are usually grown mostly in when it cools down. The same thing with a lot of the lettuce and spinach. It grows throughout the fall and throughout the winter. As soon as the spring come back, you'll see more cucumbers and that's why I question a lot of the stuff that's actually in the store right now, because you can grow. They have new genetically modified versions of fruits and vegetables that do grow throughout the winter, but I question those vegetables. So when I see cucumbers year round in the store, and I know it's hard to grow them in the winter, they're either imported or they're somehow modified to grow in the winter, and I just question a lot of the stuff like that. And that's why it's best to grow for yourself. And it's not hard to find out what's in season. Find out what's in season and try to predominantly stick to the foods that are in season. Like right now, the citrus fruits are in season, and you might have a friend with actually a citrus tree right now in Mobile, because I ride around and I see them everywhere, and I be wanting to stop and knock on people's door and tell them, let me get some of those oranges, but I control myself. But seriously, knowing what's in season is important, because you know that those certain fruits and vegetables pack the most vitamins right now because they are in season. You know, like our citrus. You know, for our citrus eaters, you know, go get you some fresh oranges. Try to get something that's locally grown. Something from Florida. You know, Florida grows oranges. Get you some oranges. Get some satsuma. Get some fresh locally grown lemons right now. Grapefruit. What else
I'll
in season?
you.
Go ahead, sister.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I was just going to say, King, you were talking about the citrus, and I have found not only are oranges good to eat, but you know how being in the South, we're always putting lemon or lime in our water, on our fish, or just, you know, whatever it is that we want to eat. But if you ever take the time to slice an orange and you squeeze some of that orange slice in the slices in water, it gives you the best hydration like you would not believe. And there's only one restaurant here in Mobile, and I'm not going to call any names, that will give you an orange slice with your water. And I'm just like, I tried to kind of, you know, talk to other restaurant owners and say, hey, you know, what do you think about putting an orange slice on your menu for water? And they're just like, oh, people do that? And I'm like, yeah, they do. Yeah. So, you know, for people who are trying to hydrate and learn to really drink water, I like to just kind of push adding a slice of orange into your water and how refreshing it is, not to mention the mint and things like that. But I'm liking this conversation, and I think it's really good. And for all of the listeners, I really want people to understand how serious this is and how serious I was, because a couple of weeks ago, I talked to Bo and Sheena, and I was like, look, I want to get my garden restarted. And I was so excited, y'all. So when you guys came over on Saturday, I was just hyped, you know, and I've got like all of this energy and all of this zeal to do things, but I have a few limitations where I'm not able to do a lot. But just being outside and breathing in the fresh air and watching the kids play and just being, you know, in conversation with other like-minded people that like to garden is just, it's so stimulating. So not only is it good, you know, to just breathe in the fresh air, but if you just put your hands in the dirt, you know, I've watched people, I've looked at it on the news, and I've seen my father over the years, you know, like, just put your hands in the dirt, you know. And I used to think it was so gross because he would go fishing and take me with him. I'd be like, you want me to do what? You want me to put my hands in the bait? No, I can't do that. But now as I've gotten older, right, I'm thinking that is like the coolest thing, just to put my fingers just deep down in dirt. It is so therapeutic. And this lady said to me the other day, she's like, you know, I tell people all the time, I'm not a monologue, I'm a dialogue. Like, I don't like to just talk to the dirt, like putting plants in or seeds in the soil, right? And they not talk back to me. So like you said earlier, Bo, if you water it and you nurture it and you talk to it, then you're going to reap all of the benefits of what you put into that dirt, you know, love. And every time I look at television, y'all, I love watching television. I'm watching this show right now, and I can't hear it, but I see all of these plants. And I just get so excited when a kitchen full of herbs and spices and colorful plants, and it just excites me, you know. It's just like having food, you know. My husband tells me all the time, well, you just eat plants anyway. That's all you eat grass, you know. But he jokes about it. But I really love the fresh taste of vegetables and oils, and I just love it. And I had to get to that point, but if we ever take that one little leap of, you know, I'm going to do this, and I'm not doing it because I have to, but I'm doing it because it's not about my health, but it's about what I'm putting into my body, so that when I do decide, you know, that I'm older or I have children or whatever, you know, you'll see just what you put into your body, you know. So you're right, King. Instead of going out there getting all of this, fastly grown in Honduras type food, or where they got to bring it in on fire to keep it cold, believe it or not, and then you get it and it's quickly grown and it's not ripe, you're putting all kinds of stuff in your body. But yet we tend to close off and say, oh, well, I don't want, growing, I can't do that. Well, yes, you can, and you will find that if you grow it on your own, you're putting better things in your body, right? And so I'm just excited. I said this morning, I text Queen, and I'm like, look, I just want you to know how excited I am, like a little kid with a new toy. I'm looking out the window, put some new curtains up. So I was like, okay, I'm looking out my new window, and I'm looking through the.
You trying to protect your garden, make sure no squirrels and
that's right. That's right.
No stray dogs better not be in your backyard today.
Yeah. But that's how rewarding it is, just going out there and just breathing in that fresh air, and yeah, maybe it's a little cold, but that's okay. It's better energy. The better the energy, the better you feel, and it's just good. It does so much for you. But there was one other thing, and I know we got to go. But King, just let me interrupt for just 1 second, because I was reading a recipe just today about bell pepper and sweet potatoes and something else, and it called for coconut sugar. And so I think about you often whenever I go in the store, because you got me finally found it. So now every time I read a recipe or something and I hear something kind of odd, I think about you, and I'm thinking like, okay, now coconut sugar. Where in the world would I find coconut sugar? So it's just funny, like, ha-ha, but yet this also helps to stimulate your mind and help you find out, like you said, you're going to school, basically, because you taught me about zones. You taught me about the zone. You taught me about the atmosphere and when we can plant, what we can plant. But then when you think about, coconut sugar, I'll use that as an example because it just really raised my eyebrow. It's like you go into the stores and you see all of this stuff, and certain things you can't grow. Coconut sugar, you can't grow that. Yeah. But you can certainly grow the tomatoes, and you don't have to give in to these expensive prices that the stores are putting on us. So if you save in that area, and then, it gives you a little bit more flexibility to spend in other areas. So I had to say that because I just thought that was so exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, how come you never heard of coconut sugar before? How come you never heard of date sugar, or how come you never heard of it? How come they're not advertising this on a mass scale? And that's because these people don't care about your health. They care about their businesses' bottom line. So we can produce this sugar fast, strip it of its nutrition, and we can store it in the store for a long time so they can buy it. So this is what we're going to push. When they get a little bit smarter and they start talking about organic, and we're going to put the brown sugar out there because people tend to think the brown is better. We're going to do this. We're going to have 14 different 100 honeys so people can, so they trick because they're worried about their bottom line. But I do want to add, I want to go back to what you said about the water. And I know my wife wanted to say something also. So, so you're talking about the orange water. Yes, that's wonderful. And oranges are in season. And the whole orange is beneficial to you. And I don't know if the seed is, but I'm pretty sure I ate a seed or two before also. But, the peel and everything, it's super beneficial for you. So in the summer, when you have the cucumbers in season, slice some cucumbers up. Slice the in-season vegetables up in your water. Add things to recipes that ought not be there. Me and the kids just made a pizza with broccoli. So we just put some broccoli and some pesto stuff on. We made a broccoli pizza, but that's unheard of. But they'll try it. They're at least willing to try it and say, all right, I made a broccoli pizza. So use the stuff that you have around you. And I know Queen Sheena wanted to interject real fast and add something before we leave the air tonight.
Okay, I know I've been quiet, y'all, but I just wanted to say it's been a great show tonight. Queen Katrina, we had a great time putting in your garden, meeting your family and your husband and young little King Dylan. And we're going to have to do another play date one day. But that's one thing about gardening. It builds relationships as well. And we have built a beautiful relationship over the phone and in person as well. So just wanted to put that out there. Thank you for inviting us into your home. And the lunch was awesome. And it was finally good to have a vegan friend that makes vegan meals. That we
That's right. Like I said, it's so much that I can do, but I'm only one person, so I can't eat it all. So when I heard that you guys were coming, I was like, okay, vegan meal. You know, my husband was looking at me like, what are you talking about? You making what kind of water?
He probably going to hate when we come over again, like, this kind of meal we're going to have to eat. Look, the kids enjoyed the falafel ball, so they thank you very much for those.
Yay! It's easy. I mean, you can actually make up your own self, but let that just be our treat, okay?
Ooh,
that way you don't have to incorporate that. You like them?
Let me say it one more time.
I love you guys so much, and I'm telling you, this has been an awesome, awesome connection, and people can change young adult talk. I'm telling you, this is the night where you need to be on the air and you need to tell everybody about us, because we are talking about breaking chains, dealing with bringing in positive health and breaking away from that stigma, that negative health, that bad health, that hamburger that you got to have with all of that bacon and stuff on it. It's time out for all of that. You know, it's time out it's time out about buying all of these medicines to off one thing, and then you have other things that's negatively impacting other things. So I am so excited about what more there is to come, because we can never get enough of learning about healthy and positive living and positive benefits of gardening, and I've just so enjoyed King and Queen. You all have just really been a positive influence on my life, and I want to say that for everyone. And I'm telling you, if you guys are really serious about living healthy, maybe you're not in Mobile, but you can listen on the air. And I know that there is this African proverb that each one teach one. Now we're saying plant a seed and watch it grow. You know, you plant a seed, you nurture it, you watch it grow, and then you pass it forward or you pay it forward to the next person. And tell people about what we have to offer, because the King and Queen are on, they are ready, they are on fire, and I am excited. And if I can be excited about it, I know you guys can too. Again, we thank you. You're listening to Breaking Chains with Healthy Mondays. You have King Bo and Queen Sheena Williams, and I am Elder Katrina. We say healthy living, and stay healthy and stay focused. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to say before we sign out?
I just wanted to say everybody have a great evening, kings and queens out there, and peace, love, and health.
Fruitful and multiply.
I love it. All righty. We say thank you, and we'll listen to you all again on next week. But stay tuned for tomorrow night with Pastor Beatrice Smith from Sacramento, California, with Full Gospel House Ministry. We will be back on tomorrow night at 8 p.m., and we're telling you now, don't let this be your last time listening in. Feel free to log in to blogtalkradio.com at Young Adult Talk Radio, or call in and give us a word of encouragement, inspiration, or even share a story with us about some of your healthy gardening tips, because we can all learn from one another. So you can dial in 858-357-9137. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
Peace.
You've been listening to Breaking Chains with Healthy Mondays on YAT Radio. Tune in next week, same time.
Go to our website,
blogtalkradio.com/YAT Radio, or call in 858-357-9137. It's Breaking Chains, YAT Radio, where we leave a mark that can't be erased by breaking the chains of silence.